might say, well, I've shown some respect towards my parents in the past, and so I pretty much have this one wrapped up. I don't have anything to worry about. But the Fifth Commandment has far-reaching effects on every single authority structure that exists within a society. And when this commandment is disobeyed, it absolutely destroys the foundation of the society. It ends up harming the family, and it ends up harming everything else that exists within a society. When the Fifth Commandment is disobeyed, a society will be unable to distinguish between right and wrong. We're going to talk about two things today. We're going to talk about the responsibilities of children with respect to the Fifth Commandment, and we're going to talk about the responsibilities of parents with respect to the Fifth Commandment. First, we'll talk about the responsibilities to children, but everyone in this room needs to pay attention, not just the children. Because those of you who are parents are going to be the ones that help your children to understand the concepts that I'm going to talk about today. And if you're not paying attention during this part, it's going to be more difficult for you to do that. And even if you don't plan on having kids, even if you don't have kids and you say, I'm never going to have kids in my entire life, you are still going to be under different authority structures in society. And so it's important that you understand what is going on with this commandment. As we talk about the responsibilities of children, we're going to talk about one central question. What is honor? With the fourth commandment, the important question is, what should I do on the day of rest? Now the important question is going to be this. What is honor? What is the Bible talking about when it says, honor your father and your mother? And there are a couple of things that we're going to talk about with respect to that. The first is respect. You need to show respect to your parents. Kids, you need to show respect to your parents. Listen to me now. And they have no idea. Show respect to your parents. A number of years ago, in Japanese society, you could show respect to your parents by the way that you talk with them. You can show respect to people who are very important in society by the way that you talk with them. If you were to use dono or tono after their name, that was a tremendous term of respect. It was like calling them Lord. And so that's the way people in Japan used to show respect. Now, if you were to use these terms the way that it didn't show Mr. Mill's genuine respect. And so that attitude is ever so important. We have to act in such a way as to show respect. And beyond this, let's say that a kid were to go up to Mr. Mills and he were to show respect to Mr. Mills' face, but then you were to go back behind Mr. Mills' back and show disrespect by speaking about him in a way that is not respectful. He would also violate the Fifth Commandment. I've heard a lot of young people talk about their parents in a way that is very disrespectful when they talk to their friends. They will say something like this: I can't believe that my dad won't let me go out tonight. I can't believe that my dad won't let me do that. He is so stupid. And if you really understand the Fifth Commandment, then that's something that should be horrifying to you. To describe your own father as being stupid, to describe your own father in such a manner of disrespect, is something that we know deep down in our hearts is wrong, but it's something that we're inclined to do because we are sinners. The attitudes and actions are so important. And Jesus, when he talks about the ways of when he talks about the Ten Commandments, he reminds us that even our hearts are important. Even the things that we think are important. Even if you were to show respect to your parents in the way that you talk about them, even if you were to show your parents respect in the way that you act around them, even if you were to show respect in the way that you speak to your parents, to your friends, if you don't have the right attitude in your heart about your parents, if somewhere deep down in your heart you're thinking, my parents are stupid, then you've done something that is tremendously wrong. You have failed to show proper respect. Kids, you need to start respecting your parents right now. This is a skill that you need to develop in life. This is something that you need to start doing now and you need to continue to do throughout throughout your entire life, because it is something that you're going to have to do again and again and again in different sorts of relationships that you have later on in life. You might as well go ahead and get used to doing it now. There are a lot of kids who dream of that day when they're going to move out of their home, especially a lot of American kids. And they'll say things like, as soon as I can get out from underneath my parents, then I will be free. I won't have to listen to them any longer. I don't have to worry about their stupid rules anymore. I don't have to worry about any of that, just as soon as I can move out of the house. But as soon as you move out of the house, you're going to come into a rude awakening. You're going to find out that there are going to be other authority structures that exist inside your life. There are going to be other people that you have to obey and you have to honor and you have to respect. There are going to be authorities in the government. There's going to be your boss. There are going to be other leaders that are appointed above you. You're not going to be able to escape the implications of this commandment for the rest of your life. So it is important that we show respect to our parents. And there is a particular thing that we need to talk about this week. We desperately need to talk about it this week because it's going to be ever so important in 7 days. What happens in 7 days? Go on. It's that time of the year again. It's a time of the year that is tremendously difficult for Okinawa Christians because it challenges our sense of honor with respect to our ancestors. And it challenges the way in which we think about obedience to the living. Next week, if you're Okinawan, your living relatives are going to insist that you participate in Oban, that you participate in these rituals in order to show honor and respect to your ancestors. You know that it's going to happen. And they're going to look at you and they're going to say, you must honor the ancestors. And so that's going to raise a question in your mind. When you look at the Fifth Commandment, this is what it says, honor your father and mother. Honor your father and mother. What's that going to mean in an Okinawan context? Because your living relatives are going to look at you and they're going to say, you need to honor your father and mother by participating in the rituals of Oban. You need to do all of these things if you want to show proper respect. And so when you first glance at the Fifth Commandment, you might think that the rituals of Oban fulfill the Fifth Commandment. They show honor to the father and the mother. But you need to stop. You need to think about this very, very carefully. You need to think about it before next week. Because the way in which we show honor to our parents is not the way that we show honor to God. There is a distinction that we should make between the kind of honor that we show towards God and the kind of honor that we would show towards any living human being. The Bible teaches us, first of all, that we cannot show honor to any human being by worshiping that human being. Go back and look at Daniel chapter 3 sometime this afternoon. Go back and look at Daniel chapter 3 and look at the story that is there. There was an evil king whose name was Nebuchadnezzar. And this evil king built an image of himself, and he commanded every single person in the kingdom to bow down to this image. And then there were 3 guys that refused to bow down to that image, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And when they refused to bow down to that image of a human being, something terrible happened to them. They were taken and they were thrown into the fire. They were thrown into the fire because they refused to worship a human. And then, as the people who threw them into the fire looked on, they said, look, there are 4 people inside the fire. We only threw in 3, but I can see 4. And they're not being consumed by the flames. They're not being eaten up by the flames. How is that possible? Well, here's the answer. God Himself was standing with them. God Himself was with them. Jesus Christ was with them.